Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar. It's 11 o'clock, so I think we can slowly start. Today, we'll be talking about housing in the Netherlands and its correlation to international hiring. This webinar is directed especially towards HR professionals or companies that are hiring internationally, and they would like to know how the regulations in the markets that are happening now or will happen in the very short-term future can influence and will influence the international hiring. But I imagine that there is also a lot of people that are just privately interested in the housing market. So also you're going to hear a lot of very useful knowledge. Why we are doing this webinar now? Because summer was especially intense if it comes down to supply in the rental market, and we heard from a lot of companies that they were struggling. So we want to provide a lot of good information, but also tools to prepare for the housing market and what strategic decisions in recruiting or hiring to take. But let's start from short introductions. My name is Matt. My name is Mateusz Majewski, in short, Matt. I'm a head of operations at Expat Housing Network. I'm Polish originally. I worked in 10 countries and moved to Netherlands from Italy. So I am an expat myself. And I did experience both renting and buying homes in the Netherlands firsthand by myself. So not only I do this professionally, but I've experienced the whole journey of relocating to Netherlands by my company, the temporary accommodation and looking for long-term housing, renting, and then buying. And today with me, there is my colleague, Kimo. Kimo will be answering some questions in a Q&A, or in case you write something in the chat to panelists, Kimo will be answering during the webinar, but feel free to keep questions until the end. We are going to have a short Q&A questions where if we have something outstanding, I can still pick it up. So that's an introduction of both of us and an introduction of Expat Housing Network, so the company where we work. Quick introductions, only numbers. We are 9 years in business. It takes us on average 18 days to help an average rental client. In the last 3 months, it actually grew by 2 days from the beginning of the year. 4.6 customer satisfaction score. We do have 3 types of services: buying, rental, and letting properties, but our core service is rental. As you can see, 662 houses people helped rent a home in 2022 last year. At the same time, we helped 151 people to buy a home in 2022. We have a team of 25 employees, very international team of expats. We do speak 15 languages. We were counting that recently. So this is Expat Housing Network in numbers, and also a quick introduction to what our clients and pretty recent review by Kirill from Miro. It's a really nice review to add here, because Kirill both experienced our service firsthand when we found an apartment for him, and also from the company perspective. So what we'll be talking about today. First, we're going to create and explain the correlation of housing market and international hiring, because I imagine that that might be an interesting one to start with. And then I will show you the transformation of the rental market. So what's happening with the rental market? What are the numbers? It's going to be packed with data. I will show you the typical rental journey, like how it looks for a person, an average person, based on Pararis data, our own data, to find a rental home. Realities of the current market for expats. So what expats have to experience and what everyone has to experience in the rental market. The future of Dutch housing. So this is more of a long-term view. So how it's going to be looking the next year or two. How can you help? Which means how you HR managers, recruiters, decision takers can prepare, set expectations, or what you can do to help your employees or your relocators navigate the housing market. And then the last short thing, we're going to present you how you can navigate those challenges with EHN. And as I promised, we're going to have a short Q&A sessions at the end. So housing market and international hiring, what's the correlation here? Productivity. This is based on the Harvard Business Review from 2017. Employees without housing concerns demonstrate a 20% boost in productivity rates. Then Gallup poll from 2019 says that employees with stable housing reported a 35% increase in overall job satisfaction. Pretty massive in my opinion. Then the next one, turnover. Employees settled in comfortable homes are 42% less likely to leave. A very interesting correlation, like how much 42% is a lot correlation there is between a comfortable home and intention to leave. Employer brand, that's a Glassdoor study from 2016. Companies offering housing solutions see a 50% better perception from prospective hires. So how much more offering housing solutions can help you increase your employer brand. Mental well-being, this one not directly correlated with housing, but 27% of expats who reported challenges with partner adjustments also showed signs of moderate to severe depression, which sounds a bit heavy, but it also emphasizes how important the well-being of the partner who lives in a housing is important for the employee mental well-being. And then we have SETLI employee relocation benchmark with from this year, more than 60% of companies supporting with relocation offer housing support. So not matching answers from our poll, but that's an interesting market data. I think there was over 100 companies answering to SETLI's benchmark this year. So an interesting statistic. Okay, let's go further. Transformation of the rental market. So what is happening with the rental market? Some numbers here. First, let's focus on the graph. This is the Dutch housing stock 2023 and most likely 2024. I will explain you a bit better. The first one, the 60% owner-occupied house, not much to explain here. 60% of houses are occupied by their owners. So then 40% of homes are available for rent. Sounds pretty good. But then when we dive into the division, out of this 40%, 32 is under the social sector. I don't want to dive too deep into the social sector because that's a topic for another webinar probably, but social sector is not a sector available for international relocators. You have to have specific income. They are allocated by the government, and right now the waiting line is probably more than 10 years. So that's not the sector where we can operate when we can allocate internationals moving to the Netherlands. So that leaves us with 8% of all houses available for so-called free sector. So the free sector is 3% and new mid sector is 5%. This is not super accurate yet because new mid sector is something what is going to be created, is in plan by government for the next year. So right now, 8% of all the houses are available for rent. And in a second, I will be talking a bit more about this new mid sector, but it looks like if all government plans are confirmed, the next year we will have much more limited access to that 5%, or some of it might be disappearing. So as you see, there is very little houses out of all available for free rental to internationals. To give you some numbers, regarding the drop in inventory in large Dutch cities, 5 biggest Dutch cities. I will explain in a second why this division is important. So in big cities, there was a 21% drop year on year in 2022. And at the same time, 23% drop in 2023. So yes, almost 40%, around 40% drop in supply of rental inventory between 2 years. We do predict even stronger drop for 2024, which I will explain the reasons why in a second. Then increased overbidding. Average overbid is right now 10% in comparison to 4% pre-pandemic. Also a massive increase here, which is caused by that supply change. Increased viewing requests. Interesting one. Property viewing requests can reach up to 200 in the first 2 days. Yes, last week we even had a case. We've been observing a property put on the market for 1900 in Amsterdam, and that property reached 280 requests in less than 48 hours. So just to give you an idea how much in demand and a normal property is. There was nothing fancy about it. This number of viewing requests grew by 475% in 2 years, according to Pararius data. So as you can see, this massive change in the market in the last 2 years is very significant. Increased prices, shortage of properties with rising demand has escalated prices. Of course, higher demand, more people coming to the Netherlands. It's been almost, I think, 500,000 people that relocated to Netherlands last year only. And the shortage of supply creates massive price spike. In those large cities, in 5 cities, the spike was 8% year on year. So that's the transformation. And here to show you a bit on the graph, the difference between the large cities. So why we are showing the large cities, because most companies that we work with relocate employees to those large cities. In case you do have a headquarters somewhere outside of big cities, then you can look at the pink line. So there was not that big drop of supply, but in the 5 biggest cities, unfortunately, the drop in supply was significant, starting from quarter 1, quarter 2 in 2022. And here we quick snapshot on rental prices, current rental prices. These are our own data from August 2022. Not all cities are presented here. It's just to give you an idea how prices are shaped within the Netherlands. A short anecdote here, as you can see, left top corner, Amsterdam, most popular city. Most popular properties, 1-bedroom apartment furnished is around 2,000 euro. When during the summer, if we had clients with a budget of less than 1850, we already were saying that it's going to be challenging and they should look outside of the city or find a share. The anecdote that I promised is that the 3 times rule means that every person who looks for rental housing needs to make in their income 3 times more than the rent of the apartment, and that's a gross income. So quick calculation, a 2,000 euro property, someone who is renting out that property by themselves or with a partner with no income, that person has to make 6,000 euro per month, which is 72,000 euro per year. That's the salary, gross salary. And if you look at statistics, 80% of people in the Netherlands make less than that mark, which means that 80% of professionals in the Netherlands would not be able to afford a 1-bedroom furnished property, rental property in Amsterdam. Let's go further. Key factors for the rental market transformation. So why the rental market is changing. A cap for WOZ value in the point system. I don't want to go too much in details here. That's another very complicated topic. But the point system, high level speaking, is the way the government categorizes houses in the Netherlands and assigns by thresholds if they are social housing or not. And around 2022, government limited the value of the property in the amount of points. So properties with a lot of value, but for example, smaller space, started having less points and became social housing. And this is the main reason why, if you remember that previous graph, in large cities especially, we started losing rental properties. Box 3, tax hike for rental properties. That's another thing that already is approved. And all of these things that are very, very recent. Basically, every property that is not residential property is taxed more on an annual basis. It wasn't a massive increase, but for sure, another disencouragement for private owners or corporations to not rent properties. Increase of transfer tax for investors. The tax for investors, so for anyone who doesn't intend to live in the property, grew from 8% to 10.2%. So if somebody is buying a property to rent it out, from day one, they have to pay 10.2% of tax. Occupation obligation, that's another interesting one that is still being introduced in the whole country, but is already live in many cities, and especially in the big cities. Whoever is buying a new property, they do have self-occupation for a couple of years. In Amsterdam is 4 years under a certain value, but that value is pretty high. So it is not only disencouraged to rent, but also simply forbidden in many areas. Another thing, no transfer tax for buying starters. That's a bit different than for the rental market, but everybody under 35 years old, they don't pay tax in case they want to buy something new, which took away some people from the rental market, but also took away some houses. So this is also the reason why maybe some houses are sold or bought by these starters instead of being on the rental market. And then the planned regulations, no more temporary rentals. That's a pretty big one, and also scaring a lot of landlords or corporates that are renting out properties. It's planned still for the next year. It's not approved fully, but most likely will go live. What does it mean is that all rentals will have to be rented indefinitely, so the landlord will not have any right, any power to end the contract. It's going to be possible only by the tenant. Right now, we still have temporary contract for 1-2 years. They are very, very popular, but the government wants to stop them soon. And then the last point, which is also pretty key here, the point system in 2024 is planned to be changed, and that's the mid rental market that I mentioned in the beginning. That's that 5% of properties that are off the whole market in the Netherlands are going to fall under so-called new threshold the government is creating. It's going to be called mid-rental market. It's not going to be limited who enters that market, at least in the current form, how it's presented by the government. So hopefully it's not going to be limited. So expats could rent those properties, but the rent will be strongly limited. For some properties in Amsterdam that are rented now for, let's say, 2,000 euro, that might be even 1,100, which, as you can imagine, might be another huge disencouragement to private landlords or corporations, and those properties are simply going to be sold or occupied by somebody else and not rented out in the mid-market rental. Yes, so these are the reasons why the market is changing or will be changing, will continue changing. And now let's talk about the typical rental journey in 2023. I added with a good profile. What I mean by good profile, then of course, if somebody has enough income, if they don't have any special requirements like next to a canal or pink walls or anything like that, with a good profile, also it's important to mark that pets decrease chances of getting a property. So if somebody has that good profile and good salary, the search usually lasts 2 to 3 weeks. As I mentioned, 18 days for us in the last 3 months. Number of properties researched. What do we mean by research? So we research the market for the potential tenant, and we present them around 60 to 80 properties matching their requirements within their budget, with the number of properties, number of bedrooms matching the requirements, etc. Out of this 60, 80, if we don't have somebody who's very selective, on average, clients like 20 to 30 properties. Out of this 20 to 30, we call all of them. We try to book viewings immediately, and we still are able to book only 6-7 viewings. And again, this statistic is from our own data. So with our brand, our name, our connections, it's still possible to book only 6-7 viewings out of 20-30. If people are doing it by themselves, it might be even less. Out of these 6-7 viewings, we usually put around 2 to 3 offers. So rule of a thumb, every second property that people view, they put an offer on. Out of these 2-3 offers, one gets accepted with an average of 10% over bidding, even with a good profile. So that's the typical rental journey in 2023. Realities of the market for expats especially. So what relocators have to face in the market: scam awareness, This one we hear all the time, especially when people look by themselves for a very long time, using a lot of different websites. It is still happening in the market, so it's very important to be aware. Income verification, that's the one that I mentioned before. Every relocator should be making at least 3 times the monthly rent to be eligible for the property. Some agencies or corporations, they even have 4 times, 4x. Dynamic market, constant check of new listings required. As I mentioned, all of these requests to new properties require very quick reactions, usually within first 24 hours, to request a viewing and present a profile for a viewing. Potential bias, internationals may face additional barriers. Unfortunately, this is still happening. Sometimes we tend to see, especially in big cities, that sometimes it's even opposite. A lot of landlords or agencies prefer internationals, but still we do find sometimes a situation where internationals are not as welcome. Specific requirements, additional challenges for those with pets, as I mentioned before, sharers. So in case we have people sharing a property, a 2-bedroom property, they very often have to overbid significantly and have a really good profile to be able to overpass families or people who are not sharing. Or even with children, this is sometimes also a reason why our clients are not accepted for a property. Language barrier, the contracts are either in Dutch or they are in 2 languages, but the ones in Dutch are the ones valid. So it's also important to review this contract properly. Down payment is composed of a deposit payment, which usually is 2 months of rent, and then the first month of rent. So a property for, let's say, 2,500 euro, before the first day, somebody has to pay 7,500 euro just to get the key. Utility setup, this one is not very complicated, although it might also be a challenge for relocators moving to a new country to set up internet, water, electricity, gas, and all those things. Yes, so these are the realities of the market, of the current market. The future, so where are we going in a more longer term? An interesting number. According to the Statistic Bureau, the Dutch population is expected to grow to 18.9 million, which is over 1 million plus by 2035, which is 7% growth. So as you can imagine, it's not only that supply, especially the rental supply, is dropping, but the demand will be increasing. Insufficient building growth. The goal, 1 million new homes, very, very nice goal, and a government really working on plans to increase the supply of housing. In 2020, I believe they presented a goal of building 1 million new homes by 2030, but this goal is already falling short. There are some areas where this goal is falling short, even 50% already now. So for sure, it's not going to be reached, but hopefully government is going to be taking some measures to match it as much as possible. Government regulations, expecting continued government interventions. The challenge is likely to intensify and prices to grow. Definitely, yes, with all the planned regulations for the next year or farther, the rental challenge is likely to intensify and prices to grow. Reduced inventory because of the mid-rental market and temporary contracts ending. We do expect additional 40% reduction in available rentals on the free market in those large cities by summer 2025, so in the next 2 years. Now, the action plan, how can you help in case you're a decision-making strategy of hiring an HR, global mobility? What can you do to help? Expectations, set expectations. This is definitely my favorite word from at least last 12 months. The more relocators are prepared on prices, knowing the income rule, the challenges, the timelines of the search, the contract types, and everything what we discussed, the more they know already on the level of even recruiting or before relocating, the better it's going to be. The more they're going to prepare the budget, the more educated decisions they're going to take when they will be deciding if to relocate to the Netherlands. Prepare recruiters with information. Yes, definitely, especially in even in early stages of recruitment, before even taking the decision. The knowledge about how the market looks like in the Netherlands is an important factor to take the decision about the relocation or even accepting a new job. Suggest living in different cities. This one, of course, sounds harsh, especially to people excited coming to the Netherlands, new city, exploring new culture, and living in the capital, in the center. But especially when we explore the difference between the largest cities and some small towns outside, the price might differ significantly, and it could really improve the experience of relocation of new hires. So this is always something that we should suggest, depending on the budget, depending on the profile. Plan for the housing challenge in the relocation process. So most companies that we work with, they already know this, but especially when we onboard somebody new, it's always very worth to mention that um, viewings happen whenever agents want, whenever agents schedule them. They are not possible to set upfront, to have a notice of a couple of days or even change the time. Whenever a viewing happens, a relocator has to be there. A viewing booked is viewing golden. So definitely an important meeting to be there, no matter how important things are happening at work at that time, especially in that first month, because usually first month is the time of temporary accommodation. So another point, temporary accommodation is also something that we strongly recommend, at least 4 weeks for peace of mind. We also work with companies that give 2 or 3 months of temporary accommodation before the relocator is obliged to find a long-term housing. Besides EHN, where to seek help. So here you have a couple of organizations that you can also, as a company, or you can direct your relocators with housing issues. You can direct them to reach out to. This presentation will also be sent to you by email, so no need to take notes now, but an important one to flag, I think, especially, is the number one one. It's an external organization that helps with housing issues. Very, very helpful. Then Hemente, government, and the last two are more directed towards landlords, but also helpful organizations. And then, as I promised at the end, I will tell you how you can navigate the housing rental challenges with us, with EHN. So first of all, peace of mind, right? Because I don't want to go in details of our service, because that's not the purpose of this webinar, but we do help with the whole process from the beginning to end, of setting expectations, even to the check-in and the post-check-in service. We do searches and go to viewings with clients. Helping expats, as I mentioned before, big part of our company. Not everybody, because we still need Dutch people, Dutch speaking natives to review contracts, for example, help with the buying market. But we do have a lot of expats who went through the same journey, and now they are experiencing the market and helping new expats with housing. Strong market presence. Our reputation increases the chances of successful viewings and offers. Yes, this is definitely true. It's not adding 80% of chances. There is an extra edge of getting a viewing or getting an offer accepted, especially, as you can imagine, if an agent receives 200 viewing requests, when they see a reputable agency name, that's the one that usually goes to the beginning of the line, in case they didn't accept the first 10, for example. Exclusive access. Our portfolio includes properties not yet on the market. Yes, we do have some properties, either access to our partners or our own properties. It's not crazy. A lot of them, I wouldn't say that we rent more than 10% of houses using our own properties, but we also have those. Then innovative apps and notifications, that's also something that we've been working very strongly on. We're combining the speed of technology. So all these notifications or even automated searches, that's something what we are now implementing, that our allocators are receiving live searches from the market, so with almost zero latency, just to react quicker on the market as needed. The same as notifications in the app, or this calendar that you are seeing here of viewings. And then at the same time, every relocator has their own personal housing consultant who is taking their case very, very personally and making sure that their experience is great. So yes, and there are two types of cooperation that your company can have with us. It can be either a B2B proper partnership where housing service is an integral part of your relocation package. So most companies work like that they include our service in their package, and then every relocator has exactly same approach. Company sends us, initiates clients with us, then the invoices are sent directly to the company. Then of course there is a potential tax advantage since the payment is going through the company. And then we also experience that a lot of corporations, especially international corporations, they don't want to have a vendor for housing in every market. So they usually work more with allocating a budget for relocators. So we still offer a fully informal collaboration, so without signing anything, where employees seek our service on personal basis. So we are completely open for example, including our information in the relocation package or in general benefits package. We can also discuss potential discounts based on the volumes, and then all the service is done directly with the private person, and they are paying also by themselves. So these are the two types of cooperation. And we arrived to the last slide. There is going to be one more where we show you how you can contact us, how you can schedule a call, either with me, potential partnership call, or you can direct your relocators to us via the B2C channel, as I mentioned. But before I show you the contact details, are there any outstanding questions? Kimo, if you're still here.
So there was one question that I answered in the Q&A. It seems like you've been very thorough and clear, Matt. So that's a good sign.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, so in case you guys have any questions afterwards, please feel free to also reach out to us. Also, in case any parts of this webinar were more interesting than others, feel free to let us know. For sure, we will do these webinars more often to explore some topics. If you think that maybe a point system or that mid-rental market, how it's going to impact the future housing market and your relocation, feel free to let us know. So we are going to explore these topics a bit better in future webinars. But right now, yes, so this is the part with the contact detail. So you're going to receive this presentation. There's going to be a link where you can schedule a direct call, probably with me. Yes, this link is my direct calendar, and then you can check our website and then direct your relocators to us via the B2C channel. And you also have my email and my phone number. Awesome. Kimo, do we have any new questions?
No new questions. So just some feedback from Melanie. Thanks a lot for your time. This was very informative. So positive feedback right there, but no further questions. So thanks a lot,
Great.
Matt.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kimo. Thanks a lot for answering questions. Thanks a lot, Melanie, for the feedback. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So feel free to contact us to chat a bit more, or see you at the next webinars. We also have webinars regarding the buying market. They are more directed towards private individuals. So in case you are planning to buy a house, feel free to join our webinar, or also use our website to reach out to our buying specialists so they can help you directly. For now, thank you very, very much. Have a great rest of your day.